This tip works for almost every aquarium. Get yourself a black background. Now I know you've seen blue, you've seen maybe textured backgrounds, you've seen fake backgrounds, maybe even saltwater backgrounds on a freshwater tank. Well, in my opinion, from building fish stores and setting up display tanks, the one thing that's hold tried and true has always been the black background, and that's because you can blend so much into it. One thing would be algae. In our store, we thought we'd be super smart and make some tanks have blue backgrounds so that darker fish would show up better versus the blue. Well, it turns out they do show up better. So does every ounce of algae, and you're scrubbing the back of that aquarium every 3 or 4 days, and it looks terrible, honestly. Where when you have the black background, and so much so when we redo the store, we will be removing those blue tanks and putting in black background ones so that everything blends in. We'll have black airline tubing, we have black sponge filter, black intake tubes, we have everything kind of matching so that everything that we want to show off will. So that might be the fish, that might be the plants, well, mostly it's those two, Hardscape, all of those things you want to pop. And the ideal environment is you're lost into the abyss of like, yep, everything just fades to black behind it so that you don't go, ooh, look at all that algae at the back. Instead, you're focusing on the fish and the plants and the hardscape before you ever got to the back there. The dramatic change that I'll show in some videos down the road here is pretty shocking. My next hack is to use root tabs. Now, they don't have to be Aquariumcoop ones. Maybe you're somewhere else in the world, but get some root tabs. And when you get potted plants, so you know the plants you buy and they'll come in the pot, put a root tab in that pot and put it in your aquarium. This is gonna lessen the amount of shock and transition time because you'll be putting nutrients right at the source. It's already gonna be held with that rock wool that's in that pot. Now you just situate that pot in your gravel or wherever it needs to go in your tank. Maybe it's an Aquariumcoop planter or something. You get it right where it needs to go, get the roots growing out of that pot and really tap it into that gravel. And really it just speeds up the time and how big that plant will get. And so every time I can remember, oh yeah, before I put them in, let me put these in ahead of time. And we know exactly where the roots are, put in that root tab, boom, off to the races. You know, honestly, making your tank look good, it comes down to hardscape a lot of the time. We focus on fish, we focus on plants, but the reality is, a really cool looking rock or piece of wood, you can't really replace it, you know? And yeah, you can buy fake pieces and some of them look really cool too, and I do that. I use some of the biggest pieces. I use a lot of fake wood because I don't like natural wood because it deteriorates over time and can color my water. Finding that right piece and digging through the whole pile at the local fish store or the rock yard or wherever you're looking, maybe you're out in nature and you're looking for that cool piece of wood or rock, and then finding the right proportions. All of those really help. And this is one of those categories, well, a lot of the categories when you're really wanting to make your aquarium look really good, it's kind of a pay to play scenario. A really cool big looking rock is always going to look cool. If you only have small pebbles from your driveway, it can only look so cool. So there is something to be said for scouring every local fish store, scouring online, scouring nature and going, yeah, that's the one. And that's why you see aquascapers and stuff agonize so long over rock and wood placement because they know that is the backbone of a really good looking aquarium. Freshwater or saltwater, honestly, like even fake corals and stuff like that. Well, how am I gonna attach the real corals I'm doing? Or how am I gonna make it accentuate the fish or the plants or whatever you're doing? And so I find too often we have a fish tank and then we go into it where we've got fish, we've got all this, and they're like, let's try adding this, let's add a SpongeBob, let's add a thing over here, let's add a piece of wood, let's add a different type of piece of wood. So the best things you can do is keep to all of one type of wood or all of one type of rock. You can use both wood and rock, but don't use 3 different types of rock and 2 different pieces of wood. It will just look like it doesn't belong. Not that some people haven't done that effectively, but if you want that easy way, just go buy or find a bunch of one type of rock or wood and work from there, and usually you can make something pretty cool out of that. Lighting is key. No matter if you're lighting a room, you're lighting an aquarium, you're lighting a subject you're filming, lighting plays a huge role in your aquarium. And I find too often we buy one aquarium light, we go, ooh, looks okay. We'll spend more money on filtration and rock and wood and fish and all of that, not knowing that lighting is so important. So if you've got blue fish, use some actinic light. What is actinic light? It shines blue. that blue will reflect off the blue and it'll make the fish look like they glow. If you've got red fish, use a light that has more red in it, right? Because that'll make that red really pop. Same with red plants. Now, some of the tricks you can do is, yes, we're gonna light an aquarium from the top. That's what everybody does, right? But you can also use some underwater lighting to light from kind of the front where your eyes would be towards the fish, right? So you put that up at the rim, right behind that black rim on your tank. It flashes, not flashes, but it shines forward, and it will now show that extra light on the fish, and it's gonna really make them stand out and be enhanced. Now, you gotta play with it. You gotta, you know, used to be we played with lights all the time. Now we pretty much, oh, my aquarium came with one, or I bought one and it was expensive and so now I'm done. But the reality is we'll watch people spend thousands of dollars on plants and rock and wood and maybe up to $250 on a light. And that light might not even be accentuating those fish. That's the funny part is it'll grow plants, it'll do what it needs to do, but is it making it the best it can be? And that's where I really recommend spend some time with lighting, think of the fish, think of the colors you're gonna have in there, how can you make them pop a little more? Maybe you add a hidden light in that cave, maybe you do something else, but you know, even that nighttime view sometimes is worth it. Of like, yeah, 2 hours right before I'm about to go to bed, have that nighttime light on. That's a whole nother way to view my aquarium. Hide everything you can, from filtration to heaters to air lines to any wire, even just putting a background on the aquarium. If you've got that hang on back or the cancer filter and you can see the wires, you can see the wall, whatever is behind, you want it all to go away. And so I start with a background. From there, I try to get everything to match that background, which I typically do black. So I try to match as many things that need to be in the tank as black. And then from there, I hide it with wood and rock and plants, whether they're live or fake, because sometimes you got turtles or something that won't allow live plants. You get it so that, oh yeah, look, you can't even see there's a filter there anymore. Oh, you can't even see that's where that comes in. And when you do all of that, what it does is takes away all the attention from your eye being pulled away. You're looking at this fish, but like, oh, what's that back there? What's that back there? What do you got going on down there? All of that goes away. Instead, you're now looking at the nooks and crannies of the fish and the plants and really focusing on, oh yeah, you did make a really cool cave out of that. And oh yeah, look, you can see you lit it back there and you can see, oh, there's a bristle nose and oh, the fish comes through there. There's a ghost knife living back there. All of those things really go a long way to making your tank look really good. We focus on keeping a clean tank and doing all of that, but we should really focus on, can we make it look good to begin with, and then we upkeep it. Both of those things have to be in tandem. If you want to see some more tips on how to make your hobby even better, check out these right here, guaranteed to up your game.